We're going to be talking computers in this hour, and I think there's going to be quite a lot about Windows XP, because Microsoft have basically withdrawn support for Windows XP, and I know lots of people who are still on Windows XP, because although it's an old system, it worked well, and lots of people didn't upgrade to what came after Windows Vista and the various iterations of the Windows operating system. And also, of course, the more you upgrade your operating system, the more you have to buy a new computer. So you've got this thing now where you've got 1 in 3 computers at risk from the fact that Microsoft are no longer supporting Windows XP, and they're not going to be updating the security patches that protect your computer as well. So I think we're going to be talking about that quite a bit in the Computing Hour, but it's not only about Windows XP. It can be any questions you've got relating to the general health of your computers, your laptops, your Apple Macs, whatever it is that you happen to use. 08459 455 5555 is the number. I think we're going to be talking about Windows XP quite a bit today. Brian is our first XP question. Hello, Brian.
Good afternoon to you, Nick.
Hello there. So what is happening with your XP?
I've been told that the XP is no longer going to be available, and I need to think about getting a new operating program. So is that the case? And if so, how do I go about sort of getting a new program for my computer?
It's a good question, Elliot. Just start me at the very, very beginning here. XP is what? What did it do, and why does it not do it anymore, or why do we need to worry?
It's not a fact of not doing it anymore. What the problem is that Microsoft have supported it for such a long time, way over the initial length of its life, and it's one of the very first, one of the only Windows platforms that has really worked and been trusted thoroughly. Now, Microsoft have been in extended support, which they're pulling the plug on completely as of tomorrow, and what that basically means, it's not going to stop working, it's not going to suddenly vaporize. What's going to happen is what words did you use there? They're going to basically stop the updates and any flaws being found, any more flaws in the process being found.
So it almost stops where it is.
You'll keep using it, and it will work and run, but it will become increasingly less secure as time goes on.
Brian, if you could just bear with me 1 second, because I think Terry's got a very similar question as well. Terry, you're on XP, aren't you? And you're wondering what to do next as well.
Yes, yeah, similar to the previous caller. And congratulations, Nick, on your new edition, by the way.
You're very kind, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, I hope you get some sleep.
Might be a couple of weeks, so bear with me while I make less sense than usual.
Sure. Yeah, mine's the same, really. I've had quite a high-spec computer. It's about 11 years old now, so it's sort of past its sell-by date, I suppose. But is it worth paying out the extra cost to get a new system in and to upgrade the actual frame of the computer? Because the basic thing is still just pretty sound and running very, very well. Is that something that it would be viable? I mean, could you advise me on that?
Two very similar questions with different potential solutions there. Terry's wondering whether it's more cost effective to just buy a new computer. Brian's wondering how best to upgrade the operating system. Is there a compromise between the two?
Well, in Terry's case, hi Terry. In Terry's case, what you've got to think about is all the data and because there's going to be a lot of old programs on your XP machine that either may not even be compatible with Windows 8. And another thing you've got to think of is Windows XP won't be able to upgrade to 8. Okay, so what you're going to have to do...
What does that mean? So you can't do the jump?
You can't upgrade like you could from XP to Vista or Vista to 7. You can't go from XP or Vista up to Windows 8 or 8.1.
So for Brian as well, it's going to be the same problem?
Exactly. For everyone, it's going to be exactly the same. So if you had a very high-spec computer, I appreciate what you're saying, but you're going to have to buy a new hard drive, and you're going to have to buy Windows thoroughly and basically do all the dirty work yourself. Yeah. I would put that next to the cost you'll spend on buying probably a higher spec computer. Knowing the standards these days, you'll probably find a higher spec more cost effective as well.
Brian, how old is your computer?
Oh, I'm not sure, Nick. I think I've had it for at least 8 probably years, something like that.
Elliot, if Brian wants to start afresh and get a new operating system, put Windows 8 on that, is it not going to struggle?
Yeah, I mean, when you bought it, you probably bought it, it sounds like once Vista had been released or was well on its way to being released, yeah?
Yeah, that sounds, yeah.
So therefore, do you know the spec of the computer you've got now?
I don't, unfortunately.
No.
I don't know how to...
Well, the fact you're saying it's at least 6 years old, that probably means somewhere between 6 and 8, I would have thought, thinking out loud. Yeah, it's more of a cost and ease of transfer from old to new. You could, because you've missed 7, because you missed Vista, because you've missed 7, and actually you've missed 8 as well. We're now Windows 8.1. You've got a massive jump to do. So I would go the whole way and replace probably. Is it a laptop or desktop you've got, Brian?
It's a desktop, Elliott.
It's a desktop, so therefore you don't need the keyboard and mouse. You don't need the screen, etc. All you need to do is change the desktop itself.
And for both Terry and Brian, what are the downsides of sticking with XP? Can't they just carry on as they were if both their computers are working swimmingly?
You could carry on using it, but the main problem is taking it onto the internet. Everything will work properly. If you're using Sage offline, it'll work perfectly. Sage offline, it'll print perfectly. Everything else, but it's going online. The security is not there, and will become increasingly more apparent it's not there, because it's not. I don't know what internet security you've both got, Brian and Terry, but
what have you got, Brian and Terry?
Yeah,
Terry first.
Terry first.
I've just got the one that's through Virgin, really, their own branded security system.
Yeah, because they're using Trend Micro right now, and they would probably be obliged to stick with supporting XP, but nothing's guaranteed.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I'm with Virgin as well, so I've got their sort of in-house security thing.
Yeah, so you're as actually strong as they will allow you to be, so it will be in their interest and Trend Micro's interest to keep XP supported for a while longer. There's
a conversation for us to have, Elliot, about buying a new computer and how to do so without... I mean, I remember my very first computer cost over £1,000, and it was a rubbish little thing, actually. It was, I think it had no memory, no hard drive at all. We can talk about how to find and source a new computer for not too much money. Terry, what do you reckon you're going to do?
I'll just go with a new one, I think, and just think that I've had 10 good years and move on to the newer model.
I would suggest you've had your money's worth, and I would go for it and do it properly. You want to think about spec. If you've got a high spec then, you might want a high spec now, but cost will be easier now, depending if you're gaming or creating music or imaging and stuff. But
and of course
mine was digital imaging to do with work, so it was pretty good on that.
If that's the case, what I'd recommend, if you're still doing that, what I'd recommend is going up to the iCore range. I wouldn't stick with the Pentium, because you'll probably find that would hold you back slightly if you are pushing the graphics a bit harder. I would go for an i3 or maybe an i5. i7 is a bit flash, but the i3 or i5.
And of course, the point for Terry is that, excuse me, 10 years worth of computing, you've amortised the cost, haven't you? You've got your money's worth.
Yeah. Over and again. I mean, don't forget that Microsoft released Windows with a 5-year plan, but that became 14 years, so bingo.
Terry, thank you for your call. Brian, what do you reckon you're going to do? You're going to stick with XP and take your chances?
No, I think I'll probably look into, just if I could ask Elliot, he said about changing the desktop. What does that involve? Is that buying a new tower?
Yeah, the tower, desktop or tower, whatever word you want to use. Yeah, all you want to do is go into. You'll find that laptops and tablets are becoming more widespread these days, but you can, depending where you go and buy them, you'll definitely be able to get a desktop from HP or those sort of brand names off the shelf and actually see exactly what you're buying.
Brian, good luck with that as well. You can call us next time Elliott's in about how to transfer all of your